What's going on? You're watching NFL Daily. We got some news and rumors. And Tom, we're going to kick the show off here with possible trade complications between David Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if you saw this report, but Johnson, he passed his preliminary physical on his wrist. But despite, some of these complications, this one might not actually happen. Is that true? Yes or no?
Yeah, this is a very, I would say, unique to the world we currently live in situation because, as you mentioned, David Johnson did check out in terms of his wrist on that side of the physical side, which I think is what the Texans may have been more concerned about, giving his injury history there. However, as of right now, Johnson hasn't yet passed his full physical, and all trades and signings, all of that is, pending a physical, and this might come as a surprise to some of you. It's tricky to get a physical done in the world we currently live in. So because of the situation, that deal is technically not yet done. If David Johnson, hypothetically speaking, were to flunk his physical in 2 weeks, that trade might not count anymore. The Texans would be able to get out of it. So it's a very unique situation. I do think, though, in the end, even though David Johnson is not the same caliber of athlete he was in his prime, I think he passes that physical. So I think everything checks out before the draft, but the clock is ticking here in a way that maybe it wouldn't normally.
Let me ask you this question, Tom. We'll show you the Cardinals wide receiver depth chart, but do you think this could be a scenario where maybe Bill O'Brien heard so much backlash and he kind of goes up to the doctors and he's like, hey, is there a way where maybe we can get David Johnson to not pass?
That might have been possible had it been the Cardinals team doctor, but right now players can't go to the team doctors. They have to go to a independently agreed third-party doctor. So I don't think David Johnson wants to fuck his physical because he's going to get paid everything he's owed. So I think from that perspective, I don't think you'll be able to self-sabotage the trade like maybe you could attempt in a normal season.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, though, Tom. When this trade went down, we were live, and I remember seeing everyone in the studio, the good old days when we were all together in the studio, go absolutely insane, okay? I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And if you love the NFL, if you love daily videos, live shows like you're watching now, and breaking news, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just crossed 165K. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of shows during the entire offseason, and the Big C is not going to slow us down. So click that subscribe button and turn on your noties so you don't miss when a trade like DeAndre Hopkins goes down. Let's go to the next thing here, Tom. It's around Mr. Big Chest Antonio Brown. He hired a new agent, so obviously he's coming back, right?
He's trying to, which I guess isn't a huge surprise given what Antonio Brown's been attempting to do for, I guess, what feels like and probably is months now at this point. Remember, his old agent dumped him in January after he was arrested. He's actually since been formally charged from that arrest. We'll dive into that here in a second, but he's trying to get his way back into the NFL. I just don't know, Mitch, if teams want to involve themselves with him at this point. And there's, of course, the off-the-field stuff. Now, Brown was charged with 3 different things here: felony burglary, misdemeanor battery, and then misdemeanor criminal mischief stemming from that January, as long as that seems, January incident with a delivery truck driver that accused Brown of assaulting him when the delivery truck driver was trying to deliver stuff to Brown. It's all kind of a weird story, but it's Antonio Brown, so what else could you really expect at that point? But that's where we sit with AB. Those charges came in just a couple of days ago, so we'll see. Remember, the NFL, they never issued any discipline back from these sexual assault allegations either, so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on around Antonio Brown that could cause issues in terms of him getting with a new NFL team.
I mean, the last time we really saw any action from Antonio Brown, you could say it was the Patriots game. I'd make the argument the best thing that Antonio Brown did this entire year was this great pass of the bag of you-know-what at the woman. So can't really say exactly what was in the bag. You don't remember the bag?
I remember the bag. I'm just shaking my head that you...
I don't know if anyone else did. So, all right, we'll get to this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break while the ad is playing. I want you to scroll on down and be honest with me, okay? Be honest. Would you want AB on your team? I want you to type 1 for yes, or you could type FAB for no. Let's get in now to Jadeveon Clowney. We have a little bit of a free agency update, and this has been a player that's on. We've talked about multiple times, and now there's a report that the Browns, they're interested in Clowney, and they're getting closer to a deal.
This actually does make some sense for Cleveland, just where they're at in terms of their roster. And from a money perspective, they could let go of Olivia Vernon. I think we mentioned them as a sleeper on a Clowney video recently, or maybe that was Everson Griffin, but we've mentioned the Browns and edge guys before. Look, Clowney's asking price has dropped. They could dump Vernon, save almost the entirety of a cost of Clowney's deal, at least, for year one. If he wants to go more long-term, then, of course, that's going to impact the cap going further. Clowney's in a very awkward and unique spot. The production in 2019 sack-wise, that's not good. That's 3 sacks. But remember, Clowney played through an injury pretty much the entire year. I think Seattle appreciated that. I think he was hoping teams would appreciate that as well, and they might. But he's never been a 10-sack guy. He's been close a bunch. I think at some point he gets there. It's just a question mark for me of figuring out, is it the Browns, is it the Seahawks, the Titans, and the NFL draft is less than 3 weeks away. Does he sign before then, or does he try to wait until after the draft? I'm not sure which route he's going to end up going.
So we got the top 8 teams for Jadeveon Clowney, but before I tell you them, I'm going to tell you about this awesome deal that we have with Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/NFL jersey right now, up to 25% off when you use promo code BALL. This is a limited time only. This deal will end at midnight tonight. So go to chatsports.com/NFL jersey, get your favorite team, get your favorite player. And again, deal drops when promo code BALL. There's kind of a joke in there. I'm not going to make it, but it's in the description. It's in the comments below. One more time, favorite player, favorite team, chatsports.com/NFL jersey. So let's get in now to the top teams for Clowney. And we didn't really rank them because I think when you look at Clowney, there's so many possibilities because of the injury, because of the world that we're living in right now, and also asking price and fit. So I think the Seattle Seahawks, Jets make a lot of sense to me. If he went to the Bills, that'd be one heck of a defense. The Titans. And then out of these next 4 teams, Tom, be honest with me. Who do you think is the most likely out of the Ravens, Colts, Giants, or Browns?
Ravens are a little tight on money. If you believe Clowney when he says he wants to go to a winner, that would point to the Colts being the most obvious fit if they want to spend. And they could put Buckner and Clowney together. That's one heck of a duel on that defensive line there. But I think Cleveland might make the most sense because, yeah, they didn't have a great year, but I think they could pitch themselves to Clowney as, no, we had a down year. We have a new coach in. We're going to be a playoff contender this year. So I'll actually go with Cleveland on that front.
Okay, how about this question, Tom? And everyone who's watching us live right now on YouTube and on Facebook, is Jadeveon Clowney overrated? Why for yes and for no? Is he overrated?
Maybe a little bit. I think that Clowney might be properly rated based on what I've seen his market be like. Like, he overrated himself. He was not worth $20 million. That was very clear to me. It's now come back to around the 17, 18 million. I think that's a little bit more about right for Clowney. But in terms of maybe how he's viewed nationally, I think he might be a bit overrated.
Speaking of overrated, I don't really like this next rumor, but guess what? We're going to talk about it because ESPN was talking about it, and I started laughing at Stephen A. Smith. He said that drafting Baker Mayfield at number 1 was a mistake. What? I couldn't believe when I saw this.
It doesn't make sense. It has been 2 years. Everyone was like, wow, the Browns have to fire Freddie Kitchens. He's horrible. He's terrible. Baker Mayfield has gone through Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens as his 2 head coaches. Why are we trying to judge a young quarterback when those were the guys in charge of the offense? And yeah, Todd Haley a little bit too. That's not great. And make no mistake, look, Baker Mayfield did regress this past year. I'm not going to argue against that. He was much better in 2018 than he was in 2019. Clearly, 2019 was a down, if not outright bad year. But Mayfield was really promising as a first-year player. Why would we try to claim he's a mistake? Now, Stephen A. was like, the Browns, they should have tried to draft Sam Darnold instead, and he claimed that he liked Darnold more coming out. And he's right that Darnold is younger. He tried to make a wins argument for Darnold, which makes absolutely no sense. But in reality, when you compare these 2 quarterbacks based on what they've done so far in their careers, aren't you going to take Baker Mayfield instead?
Every single time.
Right?
Like, I could see the argument for maybe they didn't pick the right player. And Baker, I would have taken Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. But I totally lost him when he said, you should have went with Sam Darnold. I mean, in what world are we that much more confident that Sam Darnold should have been the number 1 overall pick than Baker Mayfield? Like, at least Baker in his rookie year, I thought was really impressive. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Now, yes, he saw a little bit of regression, but I mean, he's also dealt with a lot of turnover at coaching, at different positions. I'm excited to see what he'll do in year 3.
I agree.
So we got a question for everyone. It's coming up right now. Did the Browns make a mistake in drafting Baker Mayfield? I want you to type M if you think it was a mistake, or I want you to type T if you think it's a little bit too early. I'm typing my T. Tom, are you typing your T?
I absolutely am. I'm spamming my T's in the comments.
Seeing a lot of T's in the comments section as well. I think we're all on the right path. If you love the NFL draft, go follow my man at WhatGoingDowney. But also make sure you're tuned in for our draft coverage, because the NFL draft, I don't know if you saw this, virtual NFL draft. And Raj Goodell, he informed teams in a memo that the club facilities will remain closed indefinitely, and the league will conduct a fully virtual draft. Tom, we've been covering the NFL draft, or at least I have, for 3 years. You've been doing it now, 4 or 5 years at Chat Sports?
Even longer.
I mean, this is going to be interesting. See how they're doing it. Personally, I wouldn't watch it. I'd watch us.
Well, yeah, obviously. This is very unique, though, for the actual NFL teams involved, because there will be a lot of states that aren't going to allow people to gather in the normal way that a war room is done for the NFL draft. So because of that, in the mindset of competitive balance here for all the NFL teams, they have to all do it from their homes individually, meaning that you cannot all get together at one person's house or rent out a hotel room. You have to do it all from your own houses. So the GM's going to video in, the head coach is going to video in, the scouts, they're all going to video in. That's very different. And I think there are some concerns here for NFL teams in terms of, well, the timing could be a little bit rushed later on. How do you handle trades in particular? Trying to juggle a call with potentially multiple teams is going to be difficult in this draft from home setup. So this is very different for the NFL. And I think there will be some hiccups that teams face, especially early on in this process.
This is going to be like everybody's fantasy football draft at home. There's going to be one GM that doesn't know how to log into their account. There's going to be one guy who didn't mean to pick a certain player. And who knows? There could be even a GM that drafts somebody that's already been drafted. I'm telling you, any problem that you've seen in fantasy football, it's going to happen.
Fun fact, a team has drafted the wrong player before. It was the Bucks decades ago. They took the wrong guy and then traded up to get the guy they wanted, who ended up being a huge bust.
Okay, but we got a little bit more information as well around the National Football League. And I saw some people being like, why is Aaron Donald on the cover? This is why. They released their all-decade team. This isn't our all-decade team. This is the NFL, so let me just make clear of that. So it was 52 total players and 2 coaches, 22 players on offense, 22 on defense, 8 on special teams. Then there were 8 players that were chosen as unanimous selections. My 2 biggest takeaways were, 1, Drew Brees wasn't on the list, and 2, there were no fullbacks. Fullbacks are people too.
Fullbacks were left off. So were long snappers, Mitch. Don't forget that.
Okay. Touche. So I said that Drew Brees, he wasn't on the list. Mm-hmm. And I want you guys to let me know, who deserves to be on the list? Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers made the list. Drew Brees didn't. I'll type my B. Tom, what are you typing?
I think Rodgers was the correct pick here, but I will also, as your guys' votes come in, I'll throw out another player who got snubbed. Peyton Manning. Now, he didn't play the entire decade, but he was pretty great in the early portion of that.
No, you're not wrong. I think the issue when it comes to quarterbacks, we live in an era right now where quarterbacks are putting up just ridiculous numbers, and we're very spoiled with the quarterback play. But for you to not have, in my opinion, Drew Brees on that list, I was pretty surprised. So now we have 8 NFL players that were chosen as unanimous selections to the all-decade team in 2010, and here they are. So Tom Brady, Adrian Peterson, Joe Thomas, Marshall Yanda. These were the 4 offensive players on the unanimous all-decade selections. And out of all these, is there any that are a little bit surprising to you?
No, I mean, Peterson's been great. He's still playing. Joe Thomas, one of the best left tackles for a long time in the NFL. Marshall Yanda just retired. He's great as well. Tom Brady, by the way, just to indicate how great he's been for his career, is the first quarterback to make 2 all-decade teams in NFL history. Insane.
That's why they call him the GOAT, Tom. You should go get his jersey. chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Also, those defense and special teams, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, and Justin Tucker. Who do you think is more deserving? Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt?
I don't want to choose because they're both super deserving, but maybe because of the injuries, Aaron Donald. I will make note, by the way, that historically speaking, the all-decade teams, especially the unanimous ones, those guys normally end up being Hall of Famers. So keep that in mind for those unanimous players. You'll probably see them in Canton in the potentially distant future, depending on how long they end up playing.